Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I'm Kay and I am an English teacher here in South Korea. To those of you who know me already, hey, how's it going? So yeah, this video is going to be a simple 5-step hack as to how to pass your EPIK interview. I know that the EPIK interview is one of the most nerve-wracking things about the entire process because it determines everything. But you really don't have to stress about it. In most cases, most people will just have a conversation with you as they interview you, and it will not necessarily be grilling you with 6,050 questions. So there are, however, some very obvious tips and some not so obvious tips that you need in order to pass your interview. I will start from the point of the most obvious to least obvious. So forgive me if I look down every now and then. I just want to get this right. So the first step to passing your EPIK interview is just standard interview etiquette: sitting upright, enunciating your words, being dressed appropriately, neat hair, makeup, you know, being dressed from head to toe appropriately in case you need to stand up. I'm sure we've all heard that story. It's like notorious in EPIK land. And yeah, just having a good attitude. Pro tip: also be careful and aware of the lighting that you use. So make sure that your face is lit from both sides and there are no like protruding shadows that make you look a little bit gloomy, gloom and doom. Also be sure you have a stable internet connection. I personally downloaded Skype on my phone as well as a backup in case my laptop like failed on me in the last minute. So have a backup ready with stable internet, and have like somewhere to put it so that you don't move around while you're interviewing. You don't want to be thinking about holding your phone still while you're doing the interview. Yeah, so that's point number one. Point number two, this one is so important because we all do this when we prep for the EPIK interview, and we shouldn't, because I mean, you're just stressing yourself out, honestly. I'm not saying, you know, don't be stressed, but just, you know, be stressed in a way that pushes you to do better, not in a way that like gives you anxiety. So do not over prepare your answers. Everyone does this. Everyone goes and looks for the most frequently asked questions, or the questions that were asked in the last set of interviews, or whatever the case is, and you can find them very easily on the internet. And then we go and we watch a bunch of YouTube videos of people telling you how to pass your EPIK interview, where they tell you the questions that they were asked and how they answered. Let me tell you why that's a bad idea. Because first of all, you and that person whose answer you are now like studying or preparing, that person has a very different application to yours. They have different experiences to yours. They are coming from different cultural contexts, and you know, EPIK interviewers are smart. They know to keep those things in mind. So for you to be watching a lot of YouTube videos where you are basically memorizing what other people said during their EPIK interviews is not very clever. Also, it's going to stress you out if you just generally try to mimic what they're saying, because it's not coming from you, and so it feels like, you know, memorizing a script or something. But yeah, generally over preparing your answers is not good. You're gonna sound really robotic because no one speaks in that like perfect, I know exactly what you want me to say way. No one speaks like that. Secondly, you're gonna stress yourself out if you mess up an answer. So say they ask you something that you definitely prepared. If you mess up that answer, you're gonna freak yourself out for the rest of your interview. So I personally would not recommend over preparing your questions. Does that mean you shouldn't prepare? Of course not. You should prepare your questions, but I'm just saying, after you've prepared them and maybe gone over them once or twice, I would not agonize over it and keep going over it and over it and over it. A lot of the time, EPIK interviewers do not ask like the questions from a list in chronological order. usually they'll ask something kind of related to that question afterwards, so you need to be able to have a follow-up. So yeah, moral of the story, do not over prepare your answers. Next point, be sincere, be yourself. Like I said, you cannot prepare answers that are not yours. I'm sure when you read the frequently asked questions, or whatever that document is called, I know it's somewhere on the internet, when you read that, you're like, oh, they probably want me to say this and this. Okay, cool, probably, but you need to be sincere about it. You can't just be, like I said, mimicking someone else's answer that you found on YouTube and expecting to get unique results. You know what I mean? Sure, maybe they passed, but maybe if it comes from you, like I said, with a different context and without sincerity, then the EPIK interviewer is going to see right through it that you're just trying to, you know, do what you think you should do instead of being sincere and passionate about this job. And EPIK is looking for sincere and passionate people, because at the end of the day, when things are not working out in a robotic manner, you need passion and sincerity to get through it. Like, that's no joke. That's real life advice. When you are having a bad day at school, maybe you planned an activity that's not working out and you don't have time to come up with an alternative, so you kind of have to roll with it and you're just taking these punches, passion and sincerity and spontaneity will get you through that, not some robotic thing. Because what happens when robots break down, they need to be fixed, and that takes like an engineer, and you get what I'm trying to say. It's just like you need to be able to think from your own sincerity and wanting to do better from your own sincerity. So the last, it's kind of a two-in-one. So the last two tips that I have, okay, don't get sidetracked by sincerity. So just an example of sincerity, because I know this is a question that a lot of people worry about. If for example they ask you, why Korea, why not any other country, why did you choose Korea, and you say, oh, because I love Korean culture. We're like, oh, what do you love about it? And maybe what you love about it is K-pop. I'm using this as an example. This is not my answer, this is not, you know, but I know that this is like one of the topics that comes up when people are prepping for interviews, is like, should I mention this, should I not mention it? So let's say you want to say that you were introduced to Korean culture through K-pop, okay? So sincerity would be acknowledging that, okay? I wouldn't lead with it, of course. If you can just, you know, try to avoid K-pop, by all means, in your interview, that's great. But if it is the truth, it is the truth, and honestly, they're not going to hold it against you. For me, it was, I studied film arts and I love foreign cinema. Korean cinema is like the best foreign cinema in my eyes, and so that, you know, led to another stream of questions, and then Korean culture, and then, you know, the conversation just spiraled into what's your favorite K-drama, and I was like, Goblin. It happens, okay? So I wouldn't lead with things like that, but I would be sincere in the sense that I wouldn't try to hide them either, because you put yourself in an uncomfortable spot, okay? Obviously not everyone's answer is going to be that. Some people will be like, oh yes, I love this aspect of Korea and whatever. There are lots of deep answers, like knowing about socioeconomic issues that are happening in Korea, having a deep love for the Korean language, you know, Korean food. We all get introduced to Korean culture in a very mainstream way. So if that is, for example, the question, how did you get into Korean culture? You got into it through a mainstream way, then just speak from a point of sincerity. But do not get too distracted and start talking about who your bias in your favorite K-pop group is. Don't do it. That's not important at all, okay? And that's where the two-in-one comes in. By not getting distracted by sincerity, like a pro tip to not get distracted by your sincerity. Genuinely, if Jihyo from Twice is the reason that you did learn about Korean culture and now you're like, you know, woke and you're not like necessarily just a fangirl or fanboy, then that's great. But getting sidetracked and talking about how Jihyo and how, you know, you just think that she's the coolest thing on earth and whatever is not really important. The last tip then, tying into that 2-in-1, is to link everything to why you are doing this. Why are you doing this? Don't forget your motivation, don't forget your reasons. I am doing this so that I can teach children in South Korea. If you are doing this for any other reason, such as seeing K-pop concerts during the weekend or chasing your idols after work, no. Just no. If you are doing this so that you can eat like endless chimek, no. Okay, you need to love teaching and you need to love children, and you need to have that kind of spirit that is willing to do those things in order to do this job. And so in your interview, that needs to reflect, because that's what's important here. They don't care what you do on the weekends. They don't care why you love Korean culture. At the end of the day, you need to do your job, and you need to do it well, and you need to do it sincerely. So in that question, I learned about Korean culture through this popular Korean mainstream thing, and I hope that by having a native teacher such as myself, my children can want to learn more about my culture, and thus want to learn more English so that they can engage more with my culture, because that is the point of you. You are a native English teacher. You are supposed to give them a global perspective and teach them English at the same time. So it's very, very important to remember that that is why you are doing this. So yeah, I really hope that this video was helpful. If you have any questions or anything you would like to say, please leave it in the comments down below. Give this video a like, subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more teaching related videos, and yeah, hit the notification bell so that you know when I am posting. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, and good luck on your interviews.